The doors of the Galactic Council station slid open with a soft hiss. Ambassador stepped through, wearing his formal diplomatic uniform. Behind him walked a large German shepherd dog named. The dog's claws clicked softly on the metal floor. The massive chamber fell silent. Hundreds of alien eyes turned to stare at the human, and his companion had expected this reaction. He kept walking forward, his hand resting gently on his head. The Galactic Council chamber was enormous. It stretched up so high that could barely see the ceiling. Platforms floated at different levels, each holding representatives from different alien species. Some looked like giant lizards, others resembled insects the size of humans. A few were just clouds of colored gas contained in special suits. Reached the center platform. Sat down beside him, calm and well-trained. The dog's brown eyes scanned the room, but he stayed perfectly still. Ambassador of Earth, a deep voice rumbled. It came from the representative, looked like a massive reptile with dark green scales and sharp teeth. Why have you brought a predator animal to this assembly? Smiled politely. He is my companion, we call them dogs. A strange clicking sound filled the chamber. It was laughter from the counselor. Looked like a praying mantis, but much larger. Her multiple arms gestured in what's translator described as amusement. A companion, clicked. You brought a wild beast as a companion. Is not wild, explained. Dogs have lived with humans for over 30,000 years. The Nyx diplomat floated closer. Was a being made of purple gas contained in a clear environmental suit. His voice sounded like wind through metal pipes. 30,000 years. You keep predators in your homes. For what purpose? For friendship, said simply. For protection, for love. The chamber erupted in sounds. More clicking laughter from the, deep rumbling from the. Strange musical notes from species had not yet met. They were all laughing at him. Leaned forward on his platform. You depend on animals for protection. How primitive. We evolved past such needs millions of years ago. It is not dependency, a female voice said. Stepped forward from behind. She was an expert in alien life forms. She was also assistant. It is partnership. Partnership, clicked skeptically. With an animal that cannot speak, cannot reason, cannot contribute to your society. Pulled up a holographic display from her tablet. Images appeared in the air above them. Dogs can do many things. They can detect diseases in humans before our machines can. They can find people trapped under rubble. They can sense earthquakes before they happen. They help humans who cannot see or hear. They provide comfort to humans suffering from mental trauma. So they are tools, said. Biological tools. Why not simply build better machines? Because they are not tools, said firmly. They are family. The word family caused confusion. The translator struggled with it. Different species heard different meanings. Some heard genetic relatives. Others heard property. None of them understood what meant. A small alien rolled forward. This was Pip, a representative from the species. Pip looked like a ball of fur with several eyes. I am curious, not mocking. Please explain family in this context. Knelt down beside, he scratched behind the dog's ears. His tail wagged slightly. Family means we protect each other. We care for each other. When I am sad, comforts me. When is hurt, I heal him. We trust each other completely. But it is not equal, insisted. The animal serves you. You feed it. This is a master-servant relationship. No, stood up. Chooses to stay with me. If I left this door open, he would not run away. He stays because he wants to, because we are bonded. Snorted smoke coming from his nostrils. Bonded, what a soft word. This is why humans will never be strong in the galaxy. You are sentimental. You attach yourselves to lesser creatures. This is weakness. Other counselors murmured in agreement. Even Pip seemed doubtful. The concept of keeping an animal as family was strange to all of them. Some species kept other creatures for food. Some kept them for labor. but none kept them as equals. "I understand you do not accept this yet," said calmly. "Perhaps in time you will see." "See what?" challenged. "That the bond between humans and dogs makes us stronger, not weaker." Clicked in dismissal. "We shall see, human, we shall see." The council session continued. Presented Earth's petition to join the Galactic Council as a full member. He spoke about human technology, human culture, and human values. Through it all, sat quietly beside him. Sometimes a counselor would stare at. The dog would meet their gaze calmly. He never growled, never showed aggression. But there was something in the dog's eyes that made some of the aliens uncomfortable, an intelligence they did not expect, a loyalty they did not understand. When the session ended, walked out of the chamber, joined him, walked between them, his tail wagging now that the formal meeting was over. "They do not understand," said quietly. "No," agreed, "but that is not their fault. Their species never formed bonds like ours. They do not know what they are missing." Called it weakness. Looked down at. The dog looked back up at him with complete trust and love in his eyes. Let them think that, for now. In the shadows of the corridor, watched them leave, was the security chief. He was smaller than but twice as mean. He stared at the dog with cold, calculating eyes. "A weakness," whispered to himself. "Every weakness can be exploited." Far away in human space, similar scenes were playing out. Other humans were arriving at alien stations with their dogs, their cats, their pets. The aliens all had the same reaction: laughter, mockery, disbelief. They could not understand why humans brought animals everywhere, why humans called them family, why humans loved them so deeply. But they would learn. They would all learn what happens when you threaten a human's pet. They just did not know it yet. 2 weeks after the council meeting, received his first assignment. A mining colony called Dust Reach was having problems. 2 alien species were fighting over mining rights. The Galactic Council needed a mediator. They chose. "It is a test," said as they prepared to leave. She packed her xenobiology equipment carefully. "They want to see if humans can actually do diplomacy." "Probably," agreed. He checked his supplies one more time. Food, water, medical supplies, and a special pack for, "Are you ready, boy?" Barked once, his tail wagged. He loved traveling with. The third member of their team he was a security officer, a former soldier, was quiet most of the time. He had fought in Earth's last war before first contact. Sometimes his hands shook when things got too loud, but he was the best at his job. "I still think bringing the dog is a mistake," said. He liked, but he worried about safety. "Goes where I go," said firmly. They traveled to Dust Reach on a Galactic Council transport ship. The alien crew stared at. Some laughed. Others kept their distance. One crew member, a young named Tu, was fascinated. "Does it do tricks?" Tu asked, clicking her mandibles. "He is not in it," corrected gently. "Is male, and yes, he knows many things." "Show me," Tu insisted. Smiled. "Sit." The dog sat. "Down." The dog lay down. "Shake." Raised his paw. Tu was amazed. He understands your words." "Hundreds of them," said proudly. "Dogs can learn language, recognize faces, understand emotions. They are very intelligent. But they still serve you." "We serve each other," said. "Watch." He pretended to trip and fall. Immediately was there, pressing against him, whining with concern. The dog licked his face, checking if he was hurt. "See," stood up laughing. "Takes care of me too." Tu made a clicking sound, but this time it was not laughter, it was thought. When they arrived at Dust Reach, the situation was worse than reported. The mining colony was split in half. On one side were a species of rock-like beings. On the other side were led by a supervisor named. Recognized immediately. It was the same security chief from the council station. His cold eyes fixed on instantly. "You brought your pet," hissed, "to a dangerous mining colony." I brought my partner, corrected. The negotiations started badly. The wanted more territory, the refused to share. Both sides were angry, voices were raised, threats were made, worked hard to keep everyone calm. During the first break, something happened. The colony's alarm system did not sound. The sensors did not detect anything, but suddenly stood up. His ears perked forward. He walked to a wall and started scratching at it. "What is wrong with your animal?" demanded. "Something is bothering him," said. He trusted his instincts. "Can you scan this wall?" Pulled out her scanner, her eyes went wide. "There is a gas leak, a bad one. Toxic gas is filling the ventilation system." The colony went into emergency mode. Engineers found the leak and fixed it. If had not noticed, everyone in the meeting room would have died within an hour. The supervisor approached. "Your animal saved us." "Has a very good nose," explained. "Much better than our technology." Even looked at differently after that, not with warmth, but with calculation. That night had a nightmare. He woke up gasping, his whole body shaking. The sounds of the mining equipment reminded him of war, of explosions, of death. Heard the commotion and came to check, but was already there. The dog had somehow gotten out of his room. He was lying on his bed, pressed against the soldier's chest. His weight and warmth were grounding, bringing him back to reality. "Good boy," whispered, his shaking hands buried in his fur. "Thank you, boy." By morning was calm again, but something had changed. He looked at with new respect. The second day of negotiations was going better. Progress was being made. Then a child went missing. A young named Pebble. The rock being's child had wandered off into the colony's massive ventilation system. Search teams looked everywhere. They used scanners, drones, and cameras. Hours passed. The child's parents were terrified. The ventilation system was huge, full of dangerous machinery. "Let try," suggested. "Try what?" the parent asked desperately. "Dogs can track by scent," explained. "If we have something that belongs to your child, might be able to follow the smell." The parent brought a blanket, sniffed it carefully. Then his whole body changed. His nose went to the ground. His tail went straight. He was in hunting mode. Led them through corridors and passages. He moved with purpose, never hesitating. Finally, he stopped at a small vent cover. He barked and scratched at it. Inside, they found Pebble. The child was stuck but alive, scared but unhurt. The parent cried tears of liquid crystal. "Your animal found my child. Thank you, thank you." After that, the mood in the colony changed. They stopped calling an animal. They called him Finder. They treated him with respect. But not everyone was pleased. Watched from a distance. He saw how the other aliens were starting to accept the dog, starting to see value in the human-animal bond. "This changes nothing," said to his assistant. "The animal is still a weakness. The human cares too much for it. That is exploitable." "But sir," the assistant said, "the animal is useful." "Useful as a tool," agreed. "But the human treats it as more. That is the weakness. Love is always a weakness." The young had been watching everything. She approached one evening. "I am starting to understand," she clicked. "The dog does things machines cannot, not because he is better at tasks, but because he chooses to help, because he cares." "Yes," smiled, "exactly. But I still do not understand the depth of your bond. Why do humans risk so much for these creatures?" Looked over at, he was sitting with, just being together, not doing anything special, just existing in the same space. Both were content. "Because they give us something precious," said. "Unconditional love, complete loyalty, pure trust. They ask for so little and give so much. How can we not love them back?" "We do not have this in our culture," Tu said sadly. "Perhaps we are missing something important." "Perhaps," agreed. The negotiations finally ended successfully. Both sides agreed to share the mining territory, had done his job well. The Galactic Council would be pleased. As they prepared to leave Dust Reach, the parent approached one more time. In their rocky hands they held a crystal. "For Finder," they said, placing it on a chain around his neck. "For saving my child." His tail wagged. He did not understand the significance of the gift. He just knew these beings were friendly now. On the journey back sat next to. "I was wrong," he said quietly, "about bringing he is part of the team." "He always was," said, scratching behind his ears. But in the shadows of the transport ship, watched them. His cold eyes calculated and planned. He had seen the human's weakness clearly now. And soon he would use it. The success at Dust Reach led to another assignment. Was asked to mediate a larger dispute on a diplomatic station called Unity Point. Multiple species were involved. The stakes were higher. The location was more important. Accepted and came with him, so did. Unity Point was beautiful. The station floated in space between 3 solar systems. It was meant to be a symbol of peace. Tall gardens grew inside the station. Water flowed in artificial rivers. Different species lived and worked together. But beneath the beauty there was tension. A group called the was causing problems. They were extremists. They believed their species should rule the galaxy. They hated the idea of cooperation with other species. "Be careful," warned. "I have heard things about they are dangerous." "We are here for diplomacy, not fighting," said, but he understood his concern. The first few days went well. Meetings were held, compromises were discussed. Progress was slow but steady, became popular among the station's residents. Children of various species liked to pet him. He was gentle with all of them. Tu was also at Unity Point. She had requested to observe the negotiations. She was writing a paper on human diplomacy. She spent a lot of time studying. "I am beginning to understand," she told one day. "The bond you share with dogs, it is not just useful, it is beautiful." Smiled, "You are learning." But not everyone was learning. Was also at Unity Point. He was supposedly there for security, but noticed watching them, always watching, especially watching. On the 4th day, everything changed. Was in a large meeting hall. Dozens of diplomats from different species were there. Sat beside him taking notes. Was stationed near the door watching for threats. Lay quietly under his chair. Then the doors burst open. Armed soldiers rushed in. They wore the markings of they carried weapons, energy rifles, plasma pistols, shock batons. "Nobody move," the leader shouted. He was a large named, his scales were dark red. His eyes were full of hate. Reached for his weapon, but 3 rifles pointed at him immediately. He froze. "Hands up, everyone," commanded. The diplomats obeyed, slowly raised his hands. Beside him did the same. Fear showed on her face, but she stayed calm. Under the chair, stayed very still. The soldiers did not notice him yet. "What is the meaning of this?" an elderly alien diplomat demanded. "Silence," struck the diplomat with his baton. The alien fell, crying out in pain. His hands clenched into fists, but he kept them raised. Starting a fight now would get people killed. The soldiers moved quickly. They bound the diplomat's hands with energy restraints. They separated the hostages into groups, and 6 other diplomats were put in the center of the room. Was pulled away to another area. He fought briefly, but there were too many soldiers. They took his weapons and restrained him. During the chaos, slipped away. He was well trained. When there was danger and no command came from, knew to hide. He crawled silently behind some furniture and disappeared. Began setting up communication equipment. "The galaxy will see this," he said. "They will see that they are strong, that we do not need this weak council. We will broadcast our demands to everyone." Understood. This was a terror attack, wanted attention. He wanted to make a statement. The broadcast began. Cameras turned on. His face appeared on screens across the galaxy. "People of the Galactic Council," announced. We hold these diplomats hostage. Our demands are simple. Give us the territory we deserve. Recognize superiority, or these hostages will die. Hours passed. The hostages sat on the floor. Some cried, some prayed, kept his face neutral. Beside him, breathed carefully, trying to stay calm. The human said suddenly. He walked over to, "You are the one with the pet, yes. The animal everyone talks about." His blood ran cold. "Yes." "Where is it?" "I do not know." His clawed hand grabs collar. "Do not lie to me. Where is your animal?" "He ran when you attacked. I do not know where he went." Smiled. It was not a nice smile. "Find the animal," he ordered his soldiers. They searched the room. They looked under furniture, behind curtains, inside cabinets. Finally, one soldier found hiding in a storage closet. "Got him," the soldier dragged out. The dog struggled, but the soldier held him tight. He put a muzzle on his mouth so he could not bite. "Ah," said with satisfaction, "there it is." "Please," said, his voice was strained. "Leave him alone. He is just an animal. He is not part of this." "Not part of this," laughed. "He is the perfect part of this." The galaxy laughed at humans for keeping pets. They said it was weakness. Let us show them they were right. Ordered his soldiers to bring to the center of the room, right in front of the cameras. The dog was scared now. He tried to get to, but the soldiers held him firm. "No," whispered, "please." The mighty human ambassador mocked, begging for an animal. How pathetic. He turned to the camera. "This is human weakness. They love creatures more than they love power. They are soft. They are not fit to be in the council." Took an energy baton from his belt. He activated it. The weapon hummed with power. "Stop," said. His voice was different now. "Lower, harder. Do not do this." "Or what?" challenged. "You will regret it." Laughed, then he struck with the baton. The dog yelped in pain. The sound went through the broadcast. Across the galaxy, millions of beings watched. The muzzle prevented from defending himself. He could only whimper as another strike hit him. Lurched forward. The energy restraint stopped him. He pulled against them so hard that his wrists started bleeding. "Stop it!" screamed. Hit again and again. The dog's legs buckled. He fell to the floor, still conscious but hurt. His brown eyes found. In those eyes was pain, confusion, a silent question. "Why are you not helping me?" Something in broke, and something else took its place. The expression on his face changed. The other hostages saw it. Even some of the soldiers saw it. It was something primitive, something ancient, something terrifying. Was no longer a diplomat. He was a predator. He looked at. When he spoke, his voice was quiet, but everyone in the room heard it. "You should not have done that." Laughed nervously. The look in the human's eyes made him uncomfortable. "You think you are fierce," tried to sound confident. "You are just a soft species. You care too much. That is your weakness." "No," said, his eyes never left. "That is our strength. You are about to learn the difference." His hands were restrained behind his back, but he had learned something in his training, something few aliens knew about humans. He could dislocate his own thumb voluntarily. It hurt. It hurt terribly, but he could do it. With a quick motion, popped his thumb out of joint. His hand slipped through the restraint. Before anyone could react, he popped the thumb back in. The pain was intense, but his face showed nothing. "Watch him," shouted. But it was too late. Moved. The nearest soldier never saw it coming. Grabbed this weapon and struck him in a weak point had identified weeks ago. The soldier went down. Chaos erupted. Soldiers turned their weapons toward, but was already moving. She had freed herself too, using knowledge of the restraint mechanism that they did not know she had. The two humans fought like nothing the aliens had seen before. This was not the peaceful diplomacy. This was something else. This was what humans became when family was threatened. Across the room, struggled to his feet. Even injured, even muzzled, the dog tried to reach his human. And in another part of the station, alarms began to sound. Had escaped. Help was coming. but it would not arrive in time. The real fight was about to begin. Ran through the corridors of Unity Point. Blood dripped from his wrists where he had broken free from the restraints. His hands were shaking, not from fear, from rage. He had seen the broadcast. He had seen what did to. In his earpiece he heard a coded message. It was from just 3 words in Korean: "Weapons are free." That phrase had a meaning. It meant all rules were off. It meant do whatever is necessary. It meant the mission had changed from diplomacy to rescue, by any means necessary. Reached a security station. 2 human Marines were there, and they had been stationed on Unity Point as part of the Council's security force. "Did you see?" asked. She was checking her rifle. Her face was hard. "I saw," confirmed. "What are the orders?" asked. He was loading ammunition into his weapon. "Get them out, all of them, especially the ambassador in." "What about the?" asked. His eyes were cold. "Anyone who stands in our way goes down, non-lethal if possible, but the hostages come first." The 3 humans moved as a unit. They had trained together, fought together. They knew each other's movements without speaking. Back in the meeting hall and fought desperately. They had taken weapons from 2 soldiers, but there were still 8 more in the room. The odds were bad. Took cover behind a pillar. Energy bolts burned the air around him. He fired back carefully. He was not trying to kill, not yet, just trying to survive long enough for help to arrive. Was pinned down behind an overturned table. She had a small plasma pistol. She used it sparingly. Her xenobiology knowledge helped. She knew where each species was vulnerable. A shot to the right spot could disable without killing. Was screaming orders: "Kill them, kill the humans." But his soldiers were confused. They had expected soft diplomats. Instead, they faced trained fighters. The humans moved like soldiers. They used tactics they had not anticipated. Across the room crawled Tord. The dog was hurt but not broken. His muzzle was still on. He could not bark, could not bite, but he could still move. One soldier saw moving. He raised his rifle. "The animal is escaping." His head snapped around. He saw the soldier aiming at. Time seemed to slow. He could not reach the dog in time, could not block the shot. "No!" screamed. The shot never came. Instead, the wall exploded inward and burst through. They had used breaching charges. Their weapons were already firing. The first 3 soldiers went down immediately. Non-lethal shots, but they dropped hard. The remaining soldiers turned to face this new threat. That was their mistake, and used the distraction. They took down 2 more soldiers from behind. Now it was 8 against 5. Better odds. Realized his plan was falling apart. He grabbed the nearest hostage. It was an elderly diplomat. He put his weapon to the alien's head. "Stop or I kill the hostage." Everyone froze. "Let them all go," said. His voice was steady. His weapon never wavered. "No, you will let us leave, or this one dies, then another, then another." His mind raced. He needed to end this. But how? Had a hostage. Any move could get the diplomat killed. Then he heard something, a small sound, claws on metal. Had circled around. Despite his injuries, despite the muzzle, the dog had moved into position. He was behind now, waiting. Caught's eyes. The dog was watching him, waiting for a command. Even hurt and scared, was ready to help. Made a quick hand signal, one they had practiced hundreds of times, a signal that meant attack the target. Sprang. Even with a muzzle, a German Shepherd weighs over 30 kilograms of muscle. When that much mass hits you from behind, you go down. Fell. His weapon flew from his hand. The hostage scrambled away. The remaining soldiers panicked. They were surrounded. Their leader was down. The humans were closing in. "Surrender," shouted. "Drop your weapons." One by one they did. The energy rifles clattered to the floor. The soldiers raised their hands. It was over. Ran too. He gently removed the muzzle from the dog's face. Immediately licked hands, his face, any part he could reach. His tail wagged despite the pain. "Good boy," whispered, his voice broke. "Such a good boy, I am so sorry, I am so sorry I could not stop them." Just licked him more. Dogs do not hold grudges. Dogs forgive instantly. All cared about was that his human was safe now. Knelt beside them, she quickly examines injuries. "He needs medical attention, but nothing is broken. He will be okay." Tears ran down his face. He did not care who saw. "Thank you," he said to. "Thank you for being brave." Secured the prisoners and helped the other hostages. Most were in shock but alive. A few were injured but not seriously. Was pulled to his feet. He stared at with hate and confusion. "You are supposed to be diplomats, peaceful, weak." Stood up, he still held gently. When he looked at, his eyes were hard. "We are peaceful until you threaten our family, then we become something else." "Your family," spat. "It is just an animal." "No," said quietly. "He is my family, and for him I would burn this station down. That is what you do not understand. Our bonds do not make us weak. They make us dangerous." Station security arrived. Council forces, medical teams. The hostages were taken to safety. The soldiers were arrested, was put in heavy restraints and dragged away. A medical team tried to take, would not let go. "Sir, we need to treat the animal," the medic said. "Then treat him here, with me." The medic looked at his face and decided not to argue. They brought their equipment to him. They treated while held him. Sat down heavily. Her hands were shaking now. The adrenaline was wearing off. "I have never fought before," she said quietly. "I am a scientist." "You were amazing," told her. "You fought like a soldier." "I fought like a human," corrected. "When family is threatened, we all become fighters." And came over. They both reached down to pet gently. The dog's tail wagged weakly. "This dog is a hero," said. He took down the leader. "He is always a hero," said softly, "every single day." Two had been hiding during the attack. Now she emerged, shaking but alive. She approached carefully. "May I?" she asked, gesturing to. Nodded. Two gently touched his head with one of her clawed hands. "I understand now," she clicked softly. "I truly understand. This is not weakness. This bond between your species, it is power, a kind of power we do not have." News of the rescue spread quickly. The broadcast had shown everything. The galaxy had watched humans fight like demons when their companion was hurt. They had seen the bond between and they had seen what happens when you threaten a human's pet. The word pet suddenly felt wrong to many species. These were not pets. These were family members, partners, friends. In the medical bay, a doctor approached. "I will treat your companion," she said. "Free of charge." What did? It was wrong. It was shameful. Not all are like him. "I know," said. "Thank you." As slept under sedation, recovering from his injuries, sat beside him. He did not leave, did not sleep, just watched over his friend. Brought him food, brought him water. The other rescued hostages came by to thank him, to thank all of them, to thank. But only had eyes for the dog. "Rest now," he whispered. "You are safe, I promise. Never again will I let anyone hurt you." His ear twitched in his sleep. His paw moved slightly, as if running in a dream. And across the galaxy, species that had laughed at human pets began to understand. They had made a terrible mistake. The Galactic Council chamber was packed. Every species had sent representatives. The session was being broadcast across all of known space. Billions watched. Everyone wanted to see what would happen to the humans. And his soldiers were in containment cells. They would be tried later. Today was about something else. Today was about humanity's place in the galaxy. Stood in the center of the chamber. He wore his formal uniform. Beside him sat. The dog wore the crystal necklace from the. His injuries were healing well. A few bandages still covered his side, but he was alert and healthy. Stood to his right, stood to his left, and were there too, at attention in their uniforms. The counselor spoke first. His voice was heavy with shame. What did was unacceptable. On behalf of my species, I apologize. We failed to control our extremists. We allowed this attack to happen. The species bears responsibility, another counselor added. We demand censure against humanity for excessive force in the rescue. The chamber erupted, voices raised in disagreement, clicking, humming, roaring from dozens of species. Excessive force, clicked angrily. She was the senior counselor, not the young two. The humans saved lives, they rescued hostages. How is that excessive? They fought like savages, the counselor insisted. They showed violence we did not expect from a diplomatic species. Pip the Small rolled forward. They showed violence after your species attacked them. After your species hurt an innocent creature, they defended themselves and others. That is not excessive. That is justice. Floated down from his platform, the Nix diplomat's gaseous form swirled with color. We calculated wrong about humanity. We saw their bonds with animals as weakness. We were mistaken, gravely mistaken. How were we mistaken? The counselor demanded. Because, said, we assumed emotional bonds make a species vulnerable. Instead, those bonds make them fierce. We fight for territory, for resources, for power. Humans fight for each other, for their families, even for creatures of different species. That kind of motivation makes them more dangerous than we imagined. Stood up, he looked older now, tired. I must speak truth. When I first saw the human with his dog, I laughed. I called it weakness. I was wrong. I watched the broadcast. I saw what Ambassador became when his companion was threatened. I saw something ancient in his eyes, something that reminded me that humans once hunted megafauna with primitive weapons. They survived ice ages. They climbed to the top of their food chain not because they were strongest, but because they refused to give up. Because they worked together. Because they formed bonds stronger than steel. The chamber was silent now. Everyone listened. We forgot something important, continued. Humans did not domesticate wolves by being weaker than wolves. They domesticated wolves by being more dangerous than wolves. They formed an alliance between two apex predators, and that alliance made both species stronger. Remained silent. He let the counselors speak. Sometimes the best diplomacy was listening. Tu entered the chamber. She carried a data pad. I have completed my study on human-animal bonds, she clicked. With permission, I would like to present my findings. Granted, said. Tu activated her display. Images filled the air above them. For 30,000 years, humans and dogs have evolved together. It is the longest cross-species partnership in known history. During this time, both species changed. Dogs became better at reading human emotions. Humans became better at understanding dog communication. She showed brain scans. When a human looks at their dog, their brain releases oxytocin, the same chemical released when they look at their own children. The bond is not just emotional, it is chemical, biological, fundamental to who they are. More images appeared. Dogs helping blind humans, dogs detecting cancer, dogs comforting traumatized soldiers, dogs finding lost children, dogs protecting their families from danger. But it goes deeper, Tu continued. Humans do not just keep dogs for utility. They keep cats who serve no obvious purpose. They keep birds, fish, reptiles. They form emotional bonds with creatures who cannot even survive in human environments without assistance. They do this because forming bonds is part of their nature. It is not weakness. It is their greatest strength. She turned to face the council. We asked the wrong question. We asked why humans keep pets. The right question is, why did we never learn to form such bonds? What are we missing? The chamber was quiet for a long moment. Then Pip spoke. I move that humanity's petition for council membership be approved immediately. Furthermore, I propose we add a new designation to their file. What designation? Asked. Pack species, approach with respect. The vote was called. One by one, species voted. Even the voted yes. The shame of what did was too great. They wanted to make amends. The vote was unanimous. Humanity was now a full member of the Galactic Council. But the session was not over. An elderly diplomat approached the center platform. It was the who had grabbed as a hostage. She moved slowly, still recovering, but she carried something. "Ambassador," she clicked softly, "may I approach your companion?" "Stay," said. The dog remained sitting but watched the approaching alien carefully. The elderly knelt down with difficulty. She placed a medal around his neck. It was a Galactic Council Medal of Valor, the highest civilian honor. "This dog defended his family," she said. "Even injured, even scared, he fought. He is a hero. We honor him." Other diplomats came forward. They brought gifts, treats that were safe for dogs to eat, toys, blankets, a new collar made of flexible metal that could never break. His tail wagged. He did not understand medals or honors, but he understood that these beings were being nice. That made him happy. The ceremony ended, and his team were free to leave. But as they walked through the corridors of the council station, something had changed. Aliens no longer laughed when they saw. They moved respectfully aside. Some even bowed slightly. Children of various species asked permission before petting him. One young approached nervously. "Sir, may I ask a question?" "Of course," said. "Could we also have a dog? Is that allowed?" Smiled. "Dogs are not objects to be distributed. But if your family is ready for the responsibility, if you can love and care for a dog properly, then yes. I can help you find a companion." The young's eyes brightened. "Really, you would help us?" "Of course. The more species who understand the bond between humans and dogs, the better." News of this spread quickly. Requests came from dozens of species. They wanted to learn about dogs, about cats, about human-animal companions. They wanted to understand this bond they had mocked. A month later, the first animal adoption program began. It was small, carefully managed, but it was a start. Adopted a dog of his own, a gentle golden retriever named. The dog helped with his nightmares, gave him comfort when the memories became too much. Started a xenobiology program teaching other species about Earth animals. Her first student was 2, who wanted to learn everything. And started a training program. They taught other species how to work with dogs in security and rescue operations. And continued his diplomatic work. But now, when he entered council chambers there was no laughter, only respect. One day approached him privately. The old looked uncomfortable. "Ambassador, I wonder, the dogs you spoke of, the companions, do they help with loneliness?" "Yes," said gently, "very much so. I am old, my family is gone, I have served the council for decades, but I am alone." Looked away. "Would a dog accept someone like me, a species that once mocked them?" "Dogs do not hold grudges," said. "They judge beings by their actions now, not their words before. If you treat a dog with love and respect, the dog will love you back, unconditionally." Tears formed in his large eyes. "I would like to try, if you would help me." "I would be honored." 3 months later had a companion, a calm, older dog named. The transformation in there was remarkable. He smiled more, spoke more gently. The hard edges of his personality softened. Other counselors noticed. They too began to wonder if they were missing something important. Years passed. The sight of aliens with Earth animals became common, not just dogs. Cats curled up in the laps of gaseous nicks in their environmental suits. Birds sang in the rocky chambers of homes. Even fish tanks appeared in offices. The galaxy was changing, becoming softer, more compassionate, all because of the bonds humans had shared. But the memory of what happened on Unity Point never faded. It became a story told across the galaxy, a warning, a lesson. Humans are peaceful, the story went. They are diplomatic, they are kind, but never ever threaten their family, Because when you do, you will see what they really are. You will see the apex predators who conquered their world not with strength alone, but with loyalty, cooperation, and love. You will see the species who turned wolves into companions, and you will understand why that is terrifying. In quarters on the council station, a simple sign hung on his door. It was written in multiple languages. In Earth Common, in Nix, and a dozen others. The sign said, "Home is where your dog is." And below that, in smaller letters, "Family is everything." Sat in his chair, reading reports, lay at his feet, sleeping peacefully. His injuries were fully healed now. The scars were hidden under his fur, but they were there. A reminder of what happened when someone threatened family. Knocked and entered. "Ambassador, the council is ready for you." "Thank you," stood up. "Come on, time for work." Stretched and yawned. His tail wagged. Another day, another adventure. As long as he was with his human, everything was good. They walked through the station together. A human and his dog. A bond 30,000 years old. A bond that had changed the galaxy. And everywhere they went, beings watched with respect. Some with understanding, some with envy, but none with laughter. Never again with laughter. They had learned what happens when you threaten a dog's master. And they would never forget.